I don't know. Take
All right, awesome.
so hey, thanks for jumping on. Wanted to sort of just, I don't know, for the lack of a better term, talk out, how we came to know each other and how Numeric works for you. For those just watching this, I'm Josh. I'm the co-owner of Numeric. My business partner likes to remain nameless and faceless, and so he shall. But yeah, I built Numeric really from a need in the high level space. As a quick background, basically, I came to high level 6 years ago now and joined the Facebook group, right? High level launched in 2018, I believe, and then we were around in 2020-ish. We started poking around with the system, and so, anyways, yeah, I've been looking at payments, and the main thing that we noticed was people just had payment complaints. It didn't matter really the platform. I mean, the big one was, Big Purple, but it's not throwing them under the bus. That's just who was dominant at the time. And so we built a solution through the API and now through the high level marketplace, and here we are. So now people are using it. It's great. So
Awesome.
you
Yeah.
want to give some background?
Yeah. Appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation and for the introduction as well. So my name is Shafqat, either one. I own a couple different businesses and brands. The first one is a consulting agency. So we do anything from custom software development, we do digital marketing, we'll do operational consulting. We've placed team members and developers in pretty much any role with different businesses. So that's kind of the umbrella entity through which I provide a lot of value. And then I also have separate brands and other products like LeadBuddy being my branded version of HighLevel. And then I also have a virtual assistant agency called Go Task Free. And then most recently started doing a lot of fractional GHL implementation for other companies, like other agencies that needed support and had their own existing client rosters that they were doing PPC, SEO, website development, but didn't offer a CRM. Also, just didn't want to deal with the hiring process or implementation. So they've been using my team for that. And so we started branding that under the name of Launch Your SaaS Agency. Picked up the launchyoursasagency.com domain, was surprised that was available. So just picked that up
Oh,
and
that's
started
cool.
branding it under that. But yeah, so with all those brands, it's sort of evolved the different ways in which I've helped people and businesses. Initially, it was starting off with building out mobile apps. Then it was, okay, well, can you help us build this website? Okay, you built us a website. Can you help us drive traffic to it? And then from there, it's all right. Well, I'm getting leads. I don't really know what to do with them. I don't have systems in place to handle that. And then from there, it's like, okay, well, I have a tool and I can track and you know move the leads across the pipeline, but I don't really want to be stuck in the admin. So with each of those rounds of feedback, it's kind of iterated the different products that we offer. And so now we were able to offer an all-in-one growth engine, if you will, of lead generation, the system to be able to capture and track the leads and convert them at a higher rate, as well as the AI and human support to make sure everything's running smoothly. And I have been in the high level space since 2022. And I've been involved in all of the different Facebook groups. And the Noomerik name just kept popping up repeatedly in comments. Anytime someone would mention, I've been dropped by my payment processor, who are some good alternatives or who are some good options that people are using other than, the not to be named brands that usually dominate the space. And
Sure.
so, for about 2 or 3 years, I kept seeing the name pop up, but I had already been set up with, I'll just go ahead and say it, with Stripe. It was easy and convenient. And, initially when you're starting, you're looking for that convenience and whatever can get you started as quickly as possible. But as time went on, I started noticing, all right, well, they're taking a decent chunk out of every single payment that I'm processing. And I kept seeing more and more businesses, particularly in the coaching space or SaaS and digital products, get dropped without any sort of warning. And it got me thinking, I don't want my business or businesses to be at a position where payments are being held hostage because some client, for whatever reason, decided to dispute a charge, or they felt like they didn't get what they wanted for something that's very subjective and hard as a merchant to dispute and say, what, I provided the services that we agreed on,
Sure.
when it's not a tangible product like that.
Sure.
So yeah, and just the fact that I had kept seeing Noomerik as the uh, best provider of payment processing, is on top of the fact that the 50 to 90% savings on processing fees is what led me to kind of finally initiate that conversation with you.
Yeah, fantastic. So there's, I mean, you said there's a lot there to sort of dive into. You've got multiple businesses. They all have one theme. I think you noticed that, and so which is why you said it, which is I don't want to have a payment problem. If I got multiple businesses, I can't have it like getting shut down or canceled or even just held funds. Puts a major damper on cash flow. So there's that one piece. What would you say now that you're onboarded from the cost perspective? What's been your experience?
Yeah, I mean, I just using one particular business. We looked through this a couple days ago. Um, that one's processing maybe like 12 to 15,000 per month, and seeing what we were paying previously, basically effective rate of about 5%, coming down to closer to the 1% mark.
Yeah.
That 4% on, 5-figure per month business is quite substantial. So that savings, uh, it's not it's not insignificant,
Okay.
and um, that covers the cost of a software like HighLevel, or can be reinvested into other marketing channels. So, yeah, I think the that was one of the things I really appreciated, and especially like as an agency owner, being able to now offer that same savings to my clients, having experienced that myself. I'm seeing it after a couple months of running it, how much we're saving, and being able to offer the same savings to our clients has been really valuable.
Um, so with the savings, right? Have you seen anything from clients that are like, "Hey, I'm not doing that," or have you had any disruption that way? Because for the folks that haven't maybe seen this yet, one of the strategies that we talk to folks about is just dual pricing. So just you give them a checkout form and two ways to check out, which is credit card or debit card, and then they make the choice that's best for them. And in my experience running the business and across all of our clients, somewhere in the neighborhood of 95 to 98% of people, it doesn't matter if you give them a little bit higher cost. They're going to pay you with a credit card anyways. So I guess the question's more along those lines. Have you seen any pushback, like any real pushback?
To be completely honest, I haven't. I think just the upfront transparency of pricing of, okay, depending on what payment method you're paying with, you see exactly what you pay.
Yeah.
And breaking it that way, I think the end consumer appreciates that. And um, yeah, I haven't really seen a lot of
Okay.
pushback there.
That's good to know. I mean, again, it comes out in the data. We know, but knowing at an individual level is also super helpful for us. So now, so let me clarify for everybody because you said an important thing there, which was the savings are significant enough already, and as you're growing these businesses, that just the one business savings is more than, or at least covering your investment in the high level agency tier. I think I heard that correctly, right?
Correct. Yeah. So, for a business that is doing, let's say, $10,000 a month in revenue, I'm just using easy rounded numbers.
Sure.
And if, an average transaction size of 500, that's about anywhere from like I'd say $250 to $300 that would they'd be saving with your platform. I'm charging my clients on average anywhere from 197 to 297 per month for their SaaS subscription. So just with that one move alone, they're able to already cover the cost of the SaaS subscription.
That's great. And that's what we've seen pretty consistently. So as an agency, you're using the system, it works for you, you're saving money. It's now covering your investment into HighLevel, which offsets that one cost. In addition, you're now recommending it to your clients who are now getting onboarded with us, and they're saving enough to cover your cost to them. So
Yep.
it's a multi-tiered way to get costs down and sales up. Have you
Well, just to put another point to that, and I'm not only recommending it to my clients, I'm also recommending it to other agencies that I work with. So other agency owners that weren't offering a CRM product, I'm obviously working with them to implement that, but also as part of that process, having them also start offering Noomerik as a payment processing, because that's additional value that they can provide to their clients that they're not tapping into right now.
Yeah, that's great. That's sort of been the vision all along. I may have said this to you once before, when we had our initial calls and as you came on board. But one of the great things about HighLevel is just the consistency that I get from Sean, Varun, and Robin, and they've been gracious with me in particular about their time. And I'll never forget the very first phone call. I've said this in this is not a podcast, by the way, for those watching, but I've said this in other podcasts that I got on a call with Sean early on. I want to say that call was actually closer to 2019. And I explained what I wanted to do with the dual pricing. And he was very clear. He's like, look, it'll work. Like, it will work, no problem. But what you're telling will only work for me right now. At the time, my vision of what HighLevel was totally limited to my then experience, which was I just want to help HighLevel save on credit card, right?
Right.
Costs and processing fees. So he was very clear. It'll work. I can see that it will work. People will pay it. It's not a big deal, but it won't work for my community. And so that singular vision is what's carried me through to build the program that we're using now. So you're using it as an agency, then you said you're recommending it to
I'm
your
using it for my
client.
individual brands as well, out on
Correct.
top of my agency. And we've now also had a few clients that have implemented it for their processing with their clients.
Yeah.
So
So in that little chain right there, we've solved that for that piece of the conversation 6 years ago, which is everybody in HighLevel can resell payments, especially the agencies. And what I mean when I say that is you can resell it like you can resell AI or automations or the other assets that you bring to your clients, the Go Task Free one where you're helping them with, hey, just get rid of all the stuff that you don't want to do. Our team can handle it. All the stuff that was mentioned in the beginning, it's resellable in that exact same format where it has never been possible before. So
right.
let me ask this piece of it. So we're now paying you out residual income from those referred clients, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So in addition to the tool just working, was there a big appeal initially when you saw that, or maybe after we had some conversations, and don't take this the wrong way, but maybe the light bulb like, aha, there really is something dramatic there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it kind of the initial reason for wanting to reach out to you was the fact that, okay, I'm seeing more and more merchants get shut down by Stripe, Square, other processors.
Right.
I'm also noticing how big of a chunk they're taking out of every payment or what my effective rate is. So that was kind of what prompted the initial conversation. And then when you talked about the affiliate model and the residuals that an agency can generate from their clients charging their clients, that's really what triggered it and made it seem to me like a no-brainer that every single agency owner in the HighLevel space or even that's enough of a reason to enter the high level space to be able to offer not only the SaaS product, but also be able to offer payment processing solutions.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because with that, you are not only delivering value to your clients up front with being able to save substantially on their processing fees, you're also now getting an opportunity to participate in the upside that they have on every single payment that they process in your ecosystem in perpetuity.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how you said that because that really was the vision, and I don't know that I've always communicated it the best way. The and it goes down to the ideal that Sean set, which was empower the community. So from the high level software side, they've empowered the community to do what they can do, all the things that you talked about, what everybody else is doing with their agency stuff, which is build a real solution for the end client, a med spa, a salon, a nail parlor, whatever, right? Whatever it is they're doing. I know you have a particularly large client that works in the LLC, EIN, the business setup type space. And maybe we can talk about, without naming them, right, but some of what they're doing, because that's a substantial win for you, which is really, really cool. But the idea that I keep presenting to the high level community is this. You're doing well. Keep selling SaaS. Clearly, that's a winning solution. And then you have those value adds. You can now add the AI stuff that's really making strides. But it's the whole business operating system, right? From my side, I'll throw in this little statistic. Everybody loves this statistic. Merchants, business owners, we call them merchants, but business owners in general, 70% of them now are looking for that software package to be totally complete, which includes payments. So I've tried to, again, maybe not very well yet, convey that as an agency owner, you're making money on the SaaS. That's a monthly recurring, right? You're maybe making a little bit of blade revenue on reselling SMS workflows, some of the premium, but you're making fractions, right? Because SMS is like 0.007. And I think I was at a high level event and I think it was Varun that said like the average across their entire universe was they were only marking it up like 1.3. So there wasn't a huge markup on that piece. So now it's looking at how do I generate more revenue, right? I'm running a business.
Right.
That's an okay thing to say that we want more revenue and more profits. Um, how do I do that? Well, I can add more people, right? So I can just sell another sub account and go on. Or I can generate revenue, which is exactly what you were saying, from every dollar my clients process, everything they sell. So now if I'm in the, let's say I'm an agency and I'm doing $10,000 a month, I'm getting my feet underneath me. I'm still maybe a solo operator, maybe I have an EA or something like that. But I've got like 50 clients or 20 clients or whatever the number is, but those guys are doing 40, 50, 100K, right?
Yep.
Then that volume is all for you and you can generate revenue on all of it. So let's call it out of all your clients, maybe they're doing $500,000 a month together in revenue. That 500,000 is going to make you more than the SaaS is probably going to make you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, to that point, one agency in particular that I've been working on setting up high level with, they're doing about 120,000 a month in retainers from their clients. And when we ran through the math, it was anywhere from 2,000 to 2,500 that they would save on just processing fees per month.
Yeah.
And that's money that they would save, and also being able to offer it to their clients. That that's I can't even imagine how much residual revenue they would probably generate from that.
Yeah. I mean, somebody that's doing 100K, you said 120, right?
Yep.
What, do you have any idea what their price point is? Are they like 200, 300?
They're they have some services at 400, 500 a month, up to some
Okay.
services that are like 5K a month. So it's a pretty diverse range
Yeah.
of.
Okay. So let's do this. Let's just do some quick math. So if they're doing 120K a month, and let's just say their average is $500, that
Mhm.
means they've got 240-ish clients. So what that looks like, and I know you and I have talked a little bit about this before, but for the broader audience, what that looks like is, let's say their average client is doing at minimum 20K a month. Well, that's almost $5 million a month in volume. That's already a decent, like I know guys that are in the payment space at $5 million a month making 30, 40, 50 grand in residuals just off of that simple volume. Well, now we want to
Right.
share that with everybody, right? So that's the exact model of for again those watching what you and I are talking about here. Um, that's great. That's exactly what we were after from that conversation 6 years ago. Let's empower agencies and just move forward with it. What are I guess this is sort of a selfish question. How's your experience been with us?
I mean, it's been great as far as the communication. I message you on Facebook. You've given me your personal cell number. We've had conversations over weekends at late hours of the night when I wasn't even expecting a response, but you've been really gracious with your time and super responsive. And I think very open to feedback of just things that we were kind of going through as part of the onboarding experience. And I don't hesitate to give constructive feedback, and you've been really open to that and been very great about iterating the product to reflect that. And I've seen the progression from when we first met to what it looks like now, and it's been an awesome uh, progression and iteration from that.
Yeah, good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. So, um, from my perspective, this is a winning relationship. I think all of us as business owners, listen, we all want to make sales. We all want to make revenue. That's the nature of being in business, being an entrepreneur. But at the same time, you want to have, as a business owner, you know this, you want to have clients that the relationship is good in both directions. It can't be right. You don't, we're not looking for that client. Nobody is. It's like, hey, I demand 100% of your attention all the time and I make you a nickel, right? And I don't mean to sound, I hope that doesn't sound as bad as it sounded in my head and then when I said it. But
No.
hopefully you get my meaning there, which is, the relationship is a good one. We want to keep building on that, and you feel comfortable enough, obviously already, because you've sent other people to go, look, this is the path that is going to be great for you, especially if you're in HighLevel, and especially if you're an agency. There's a lot to be gained here. From just empowering you to generate more revenue from, and a lot of times just from the current clients you have. And it's not like,
Right.
right? So having said that, talk to me about, if you don't mind, I'm actually curious about your Go task free. Obviously, service your businesses, but I haven't asked specifically about a few of them. The Go task free one's intriguing to me. And I think probably for the majority of the HighLevel space, because finding the right people to put on your team can be a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll, if you are in the HighLevel space and you post in any Facebook group relating to HighLevel saying that you're looking for support and help, you will get absolutely bombarded with at least 50 to 100 messages and comments saying, "Oh, I'm a virtual assistant. I handle everything related to Go HighLevel."
Right.
Um, I So my family is originally from Bangladesh. I was born and raised in the United States, but I've been going to Bangladesh to visit, and I've established, uh, you know, professional network there since I was in college. And really, I started developing a talent pool of qualified resources that we could leverage, whether it's website developers, mobile app developers, graphic designers, video editors. And so, over the course of the last 6, 7 years, I've started to really expand my network beyond just Bangladesh to broader Asia, as well as even just, developing countries and even, South America, Latin America, and South Africa. So with that, we've been able to pool resources and be able to find experts in their respective fields that are substantially more cost effective than hiring someone full time. Here it gives you flexibility to bring people on as needed, and we're creating opportunities for people in these developing countries that otherwise wouldn't have been able to work with American clients, all while maintaining the same level of quality and expectation because we have the management and the processes and standards put in place to make sure that the clients are getting what they pay for. So we're by no means the cheapest option. If you go on Fiverr or um, Upwork or any of these sites, you can find a virtual assistant for $5-6 an hour that will probably do decent work for you for a couple of weeks and then ghost you. So
Sure.
the difference between us and those types of options is that we want to develop a long-term relationship. We want our team members to be integrated within your business and be able to support, whether it's on the business side or even on the personal. I have virtual assistants that are handling, people's personal billing, their personal travel, their coordinating, vacations and details like that. So just being able to have that trust factor because we source our virtual assistants so carefully. We have team members on the ground in every country, and every single person that comes to us as a candidate is screened meticulously. That adds a lot of, I think, confidence in our ability to work with clients and make sure that they're taken care of.
All high level trained, of course, as well, right? They're all
Not all of them, but we have virtual assistants specifically that are for high
right.
level to build funnels, automations, all that stuff. But we, source other, other skill sets as well, like graphic design, video editing. So, it's a diverse range of options and talent that we have.
Got it. Okay. So then that lends itself to, anybody that's watching this with us, they could do payments through us. They could get high level. They can then sell the heck out of it, and you can help them fulfill it.
Yep.
Really, removing themselves as a solopreneur, if you will, and having a complete foundation to do what they want to do and move
Yep.
forward successfully. Awesome.
Yeah. We can build out the agency infrastructure. We can have them provide support for every time they bring on a client. We can bring on team members to do cold calling or generate leads for them. Obviously during the onboarding process, we can get them set up with Noomerik for payment processing. So really the full ecosystem and build out of launching a SaaS product,
Yeah.
we can help.
Yeah, A to Z. I mean, just A to Z, really. And I think that to me, I suppose, lends itself to this larger client that I referred to that you brought on. And I think you had told me there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 30,000 plus clients, paying clients that they
Closer
have.
to 40,000. Yeah. 40,000 active clients that they are currently working with, and a total roster past and present of 200,000 clients.
200,000 clients. And you set up their whole high level system.
Correct. Yeah. When they were not familiar or know about HighLevel in any way, when I first met with them, it was for something completely unrelated to this. And I mentioned the software to them when they were talking about, the number of clients they work with, and they were just blown away. And so I built out their entire agency for them, including their onboarding processes, their SOPs, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, we built out the agency and then obviously made the introduction to you because there's a huge opportunity there as far as the processing that they do alone as a business, as well as their entire pool of clients.
Right.
Just yeah.
Yeah, no, that was super intriguing to me because I've started to notice this a little bit more in the high level community. And there's a very popular member of the community. I'm not going to mention their name because I don't have permission to, and they're a great person, and I'm sure they wouldn't care. But they brought up a really great point the other day, which is selling to enterprise clients. And it's not that you can't offer a really great product to a business that's maybe doing $20,000 a month and wants to grow to 40 or 50, right? Those people need help the same as anybody else. But this enterprise client is a whole different ball game to play in, right? And they're typically what we say, right? It's totally cliche. It's like Hey, the $500 client's like, hey, is the check there? Can we get on a call? And the $50,000 client's like, hey, I wired it. Let us know what the next steps are, right? And so I think it's really great. Like what you did there was really great because you saw the opportunity of an enterprise client and just jumped in and said, "We don't have to be in my agency. I can just make you your whole agency yourself and set you up for complete success from day one."
Right. And I think the way I positioned it with them saying, like, look, if you have, let's say 40,000 clients and that you're currently working with, even just 5% of that, that's $2,000 or 2,000 clients at, let's say, $97 a month. That's almost 200K a month in MRR that you're
Right.
missing out on.
Right.
So that was enough for them to say, you know what, that's a huge opportunity. It like falls very nicely with what they're already doing because they're starting with businesses at the very early, like at the inception of someone coming and forming a business. So obviously they're going to need a website. They're obviously going to need some kind of software to run their business from. And so when you introduce that to them right when someone's literally creating the entity for the business and creating a bank account, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And now they can do it all at less cost than they could do it before, right? So it
Right.
becomes this really great. I mean, listen, we're all in the business of solving problems, and when we solve enough problems, we get to do what we want to do with our life. And so I don't know. That to me was huge, just from a standpoint of I think a lot of us can get caught into I've got to do all the servicing, I got to do all the fulfillment, right? I've got to do all. No, you can just build a really great tool for somebody and let them, and then provide them maybe one or two other tools and let them run. We get out of their way, right? And let them go. That seems like what this company has been able to do with it so far.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well, listen, this has been a great conversation. Certainly, I think anybody that's wanting to get into the high level space, if they're not there yet, and if they are, there's certainly some, things to think about here. So, I know I will, use this in my world for my social media content. So for those on my channel, just look for my links in the description. For you, how do you want them to follow up with you?
Yeah, I think I'll definitely distribute this to my YouTube channel as well as my Instagram. So, all my contact to get in touch is there. I've dropped my Noomerik link actually in both my YouTube channel links as well as my Instagram. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Oh, that's great. All right. Well,
Cool.
I think that's it for me for now. Anything else from you?
Not so much on the recording side. I did have a couple questions. Just kind of